Story 6, we're over the hump. The change for strange. Story
Meyes,
4,
12-year-old track
I'm
star.
telling.
That's me. As I stepped up to the starting line, I could hear the crowd scream. The fans roared. They were waiting to see my spectacular long jump. Jane, Earth to Jane. Huh? Jane, stop daydreaming. It's time to go, Lizzy called from across the practice field. Lizzy Gardner is my best friend. I watched as she walked toward me. Careful to keep away from the dirt patches. Lizzy hates to get her shoes dirty. Today, she wore sparkly pink sneakers and a short pink skirt. A pink headband held her blonde hair in place. Are you ready to go? She yelled, cupping her hands around her mouth. Lizzy doesn't understand anything about track or why I practice so much. She thinks I'd have more fun at her house, just hanging out. But I want to be a track star more than anything else. Unfortunately, I didn't make the school team. I heard one of the girls say on the team that I wasn't good enough to carry their towels. That was so cold, but I'm not giving up. Every afternoon after school, I practice out in the field. Someday, I'm going to be an incredible jumper, no matter what it takes. After I practice, I always hang out at Lizzy's house. First, we watch Animaniacs. Then we put on the CD player and dance around to our favourite band, Fruit Bag. Sure, it's fun, but lately I've been more into track than hanging out. And Lizzy has changed too. She still wants me to come over and do the same things, only now she's added a new one. She likes to go through her closet, thinking up new outfits. Do these shoes go with my new skirt? Does this top match my eyes? We do that until Ivan the Terrible barges into her room. That's what we call Lizzy's little brother. Ivan has a dog, a really mean pit bull. He named it Lizzy, just to make his sister angry. Lizzy the dog ate Lizzy the person's new yellow scrunchie last week. He swallowed it in one gulp. Ivan also has a whole collection of mice, snakes, and other weird animals. He likes to chase us all over the house, dangling his disgusting creatures in our faces. Hello, anybody home? Lizzy tapped me on the shoulder. I've been talking for 5 minutes and you haven't heard a word I've said. By now, I'd gathered my things together. Sorry, I said as we headed off the practice field. What's up? Before we go to my house, Lizzy told me, I want to go shopping. I found a great clothing store. It's called A Change for the Strange. Have you seen it? It's right around the corner. I shook my head, no. A minute later, we stood in front of the store. A neon pink and orange awning stretched over its front door. A Change for the Strange ran across the top in glowing letters. I walked through the door and gasped. The place was so strange. It didn't seem like a clothing store at all. All sorts of weird items crammed the aisles. Rain slickers hung from moose antlers. Yellow umbrellas with duck head handles bobbed in puddles of water. Green capes with velvet flowers dangled from leafy trees. Fluffy bunny slippers peeked out of rabbit hutches. Shark-toothed necklaces floated in a tiny wave pool. Lizzy disappeared between the racks. I usually follow her around stores like a little kid, but this time I stood in one place, gawking. A store clerk stepped up to me. May I help you? She asked. Something had caught my eye. A bright red jacket. It had tiny cracks in the material and a yellow trim that ran around the middle. Can I see that jacket? I asked. The clerk reached up and unhooked the jacket from a tree branch. The jacket looked wet, slick, but when I ran my hand down the front, it felt totally dry. It's a cool looking pattern, I told her. She smiled and pointed to the cracks. Those are scales, she explained. This jacket is snakeskin. Ugh! I snatched my hand away. The sales clerk slipped the jacket off the hanger. Try it on, she urged. I bet it will look great on you. I slipped into it. Then I turned toward the mirror. It looked great. I twirled around. It was a perfect fit. I'll take it, I declared. You will? Lizzy came over surprised. Sure, it looks great with my eyes, I joked. Lizzy grinned. I told you the store was great. She held out a pair of fluffy white bunny slippers. I'm going to buy these. I choked back a giggle. A snakeskin jacket was one thing, but bunny slippers? Those will be great for when you get hopping mad, I teased Lizzy. Ha ha, remind me to laugh later, Lizzy snapped back. We quickly paid for the clothes and rushed out of the store. Out on the street, I zipped up the snakeskin jacket all the way to the top of my neck. I hadn't taken it off since I tried it on, not for a second. I loved it. I gazed at the bright snakeskin as we walked. It looked awesome, like something a model would wear. When we reached Lizzy's house, we spotted Ivan crawling around the front yard. Shh, he whispered. I'm on the lookout for caterpillars. I'm starting a new collection, so don't scare them away. No problem, Lizzy shouted as loud as she could. Then she stamped her feet and waved her arms. We'll be so quiet you won't even know we're here, she screamed. I started to follow Lizzy into the house, then stopped. I felt kind of weird, kind of weak and dizzy. Are you okay? Lizzy asked. You look a little pale. I'm not sure, I answered. I took a few more steps. Everything around me started to spin. I grabbed onto Lizzy so that I wouldn't fall. Maybe you're getting sick, Lizzy said. Want me to walk you home? No, that's okay, I replied weakly. I can go by myself. Are you sure? You don't look good. Look, I'll be fine, I told Lizzy. I'll call you when I get home. I started home, but I didn't get very far. Suddenly, I felt really hot. My skin felt as if it was burning up. All I wanted to do was lie down right there on Lizzy's lawn, stretch out in the cool green grass, but I forced myself to stand. Then, I flicked out my tongue. It darted in and out, in and out. I tried to stop. I tried to hold it in, but I couldn't. And each time it lashed out, it grew longer, pointier. I clamped my mouth shut, but my tongue shot back out, and I smelled something strange. An animal, a cat, and then I smelled a dog and a squirrel. My mind raced with panic. I could never smell animals before. What was happening to me? Then I sniffed something really tasty. A nice mousy smell coming from Lizzy's house. Ivan's pet mice. I clutched my head. And then I screamed. My head! I had no hair, no ears. My whole head was covered with dry, cracked skin. I rubbed it frantically. I wanted to bring my old head back. Then the world seemed to tilt. Everything swam out of focus as if it were on a speeding merry-go-round. I couldn't hold myself up. I sank to the ground. I closed my eyes. I'll count to 3, I said. Then everything will be okay. I'll wake up and everything will be back to normal. Slowly I counted 1, 2, 3. I opened my eyes and I shrieked out in terror. I wasn't Jane Meyers' track star. I wasn't even Jane Meyers' human being. I'm a snake, I tried to shout, but a long hiss was all that came out. I felt sick to my stomach. I was a snake, a slithering, fork-tongued snake. Need your help, I thought desperately. I need Lizzy, she'll know what to do. I nosed aside a giant blade of grass and stared up at Lizzy's house. How could I get inside? I started to slither toward her front door. Then her mother opened it. She stood in the open doorway, fumbling for something inside her bag. This was it, my chance to get inside. I slithered as fast as I could. Then a shadow fell over me. Lizzy, the pit bull. Oh no, I tried to moan, but of course I hissed instead. The dog lowered her head and growled, a low, menacing growl. Then she bared her teeth. I tried to slither away. Lizzy trailed me, snarling, drooling saliva on me. I slipped under a bush, but she found me. She lowered her head to the ground. I could feel her hot breath on my skin. With one bite, Lizzy was going to rip the skin off my back. She opened her mouth and, Lizzy, go. It was Mrs. Gardner. The dog jerked her head up and whimpered. Ivan, come and get the dog. I don't want her in the garden. Ivan? No answer. Mrs. Gardner grabbed Lizzy's collar and tugged the dog inside. I slid out of the bushes and followed right behind. Mrs. Gardner put the dog in the basement. I slithered up the stairs to the bedrooms. "Lizzy," I hissed to my friend. I glanced around the room. I spotted the TV, the CD player, the fruit bag poster on the wall, but no Lizzy. And then the light snapped on. There stood Lizzy in the doorway. She was here. She would save me. "Hey, Lizzy," I cried, twisting my snake body into the air. "Help me! Help me!" "Yay!" Lizzy screamed. "A snake! Ivan, get in here!" No, it wasn't me, I wanted to shout. But of course, I couldn't. What could I do? Lizzy pressed against the wall as I wriggled over to the remote control on her night table. I had an idea. I pushed my head against the power button. The picture flicked on the screen. So far, so good. I pressed another button until the Animaniacs came on. Now she'd understand. "Ivan!" Lizzy began. Then she stopped. A light came into her eyes. She did understand. She did. I writhed in happiness. Lizzy stepped closer. She reached out. She was going to pick me up. She was going to save me. No. She grabbed hold of her tennis racket and with a loud cry swung it hard and whomped me across the room. Splat! I hit her CD player. My tail struck a button. Fruit bag began to play. For a moment, I lay stunned on top of the player while Lizzy shrieked for Ivan. Then, I got another idea. I began to dance. "Lizzy," I hissed, "it's me, it's Jane. I'm dancing the way we always do." Lizzy's eyes widened with fear. She cowered in the corner. "Ivan," she yelled, "get in here now." Ivan poked his head in the room. He grinned. "Got a problem?" "One of your snakes is loose," Lizzy shrieked. "Get it out of here now." "Lizzy," I whimpered. I slinked off the CD player and slithered over to her feet. "You have to save me." Lizzy backed into the corner. I coiled around her leg. "Help me," I hissed. "Yay!" she screeched. She hopped up on a chair, trying to shake me loose. "Please, Ivan, take your snake, take it." Ivan strolled over, taking his time. I threw a pleading look up at Lizzy. "Please," I hissed. Ivan crouched over me. He stared at me. "It's not my snake," he said. "I don't have any red ones." Lizzy's voice screeched. "I don't care," she shouted. "Just get it off me." All right, Ivan said. He unwrapped me from Lizzy's leg and carried me to his bedroom. Then he dumped me into his snake cage with 2 other snakes. Their fangs gleamed in the light. Their hot snake breath washed over me. I pressed myself against the cage, but they slinked in closer and closer. They knew, I thought. They know that I'm not a real snake like they are, and they are going to kill me. They writhed forward, one on each side of me, hissing. They were going to surround me and attack. Their long tongues slid out. They darted forward with a sharp jerk, and Ivan reached into the cage and pulled me out. "You know, Lizzy," Ivan said, carrying me back into Lizzy's room, "there's something weird about this snake. It's got something on its stomach." He flipped me over, and he gasped. "Wow," he said, "it looks like a zipper. A tiny zipper." He shoved me into Lizzy's face. "Get that thing out of here," she screeched. "I mean it, Lizzy, look." "Let's try to unzip it." Ivan set me gently on the floor. He hesitated, pulled back, changed his mind again, then he took a deep breath, reached down, tugged on the zipper. Rip! I exploded into my full human body. Ivan gasped. Lizzy screamed. "Cool," Ivan said, reaching over to touch me. Lizzy kept screaming. "Hey, how did you do that?" he asked. My whole body shook as I told him the terrible story. When I left to go home, Lizzy was still screaming. A few days later, Lizzy and I sat on the field. I had just finished practicing. "That was awesome, Jane," Lizzy said. "That's the highest I've ever seen you jump." I felt really proud. My jumping was totally excellent today. Yesterday too. I hopped over to her. She reached down and petted my soft white fur. "You're going to be a state high jump champ," she said. My pink nose twitched. "You're right," I said. "Did you bring any carrots?" I had to admit it. Lizzy had been right back at that weird store. Those bunny slippers were definitely cool. Another story down from Even More Tales to give you goosebumps. I hope you've been enjoying them so far. Please don't hesitate to hit like, hit subscribe,
keep up to date with the stories coming out, and don't forget that I have read a whole bunch of different Goosebumps stories right here on the channel. So go back and check out the rest of them because they're all just as good.